Gentlemen, I have a very special shout out to give, and that's to Tarson, who's apparently watching this, and so he loved the Tarson Holds reference. So Tarson, that's for you. All right, guys, we're going to be moving into game number 7 here, and the map is actually, since the map pool has restarted, it is loser picks format. Again, going back to a map that we saw earlier on in Daybreak.
All right, so HyuN did pick Daybreak actually before in game number 2, I believe it was.
Yes.
And here we are in game 7.
If you remember, this is where the Karn build actually killed him in game number 2. But the countdown has begun, so we're ready to move into game number 7. One of these guys has got to break the tie. It's either going to be Polt or HyuN. Let's get into the game.
Daybreak.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're on Daybreak, and in the top right-hand corner, we have our Red Zerg player from Quantic Gaming. He had won 3 in a row, but he lost the last game, trying to bring it back. He is...
HyuN!
All right. And his opponent down in the bottom left-hand corner is our blue Terran player, the one, the only...
Polt!
That's right. Polt versus HyuN here. IPL Fight Club Championship of the World. This is so good. This is as good. You know, there's always in the back of your mind, you're always worried a little bit. You're like, oh God.
What if it's a sweep?
I know. We had Whiterun Stefano out the last one. We're like, oh, 2 awesome, great, well-known players. It's going to be really fun. I really hope it's not one-sided. And then Stefano 1-5-1.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, well.
I was a little concerned at first, perhaps, and then I watched their warm-up game, and we talked about it. We were like, okay, all right, I feel great now. This is going to be insanely close.
Yes, and indeed it has been.
Yeah.
So guys, if you guys are around here at South by Southwest Gaming, you can also support charity and our friends over at the Intel Land Fest. They're in the very back corner of the Palmer Event Center. So head on back there, get your game on, and support the Dell Children's Medical Center of Central Texas. That's what they're raising money for. So very cool stuff going on there. Do want to point out, though, in this game, HyuN actually going for gas first before pool once again, so very early speed. We also saw, if you remember, on this map, he went gas before pool, went for speed, and then took all of his workers off of gas, then kind of changed his mind. I was like, wait a second, I actually want to go for 2-base layer into Infester.
You know, I think he's thoroughly enjoying that you can do this in Wings of Liberty, because in Heart of the Swarm, if you do this and you find yourself up against Proxy Reaper, it's pretty much game over.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a strategy that, in Wings of Liberty, very much possible. And HyuN's like, okay, I can get fast speed. Let's do that. SCV going to come in and see exactly that.
That's right. Proxy Reaper now, of course, in Heart of the Storm without the need for a tech lab. Still a little bit of gas, not quite as effective against light units, but, they are so annoying. They just pop in, kill a couple of drones, run away, regen, pop in, kill a couple of drones, run away, regen. So annoying.
Kevin, it was the other day on Daybreak that I did the gas before pull after hatch and against Proxy 8 Reaper.
Oh.
I didn't even get a queen started before it was GG. So.
Oh, wow. Well, now I know my new go-to strategy in Heart of the Swarm. So
yeah,
thank you very
as
much.
Terran, that's what you do.
Just Proxy Reaper all the time.
Yep, pretty much.
And then Widow Mines, just endless Widow Mines. All right, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving into this game a little bit more. Polt's not doing anything that we haven't seen over the past few games. I'm actually surprised we're 7 games in. We haven't seen 1-2 racks. We haven't seen one base gas or something that's just really aggressive to try and throw HyuN off. Because HyuN, if he kind of lands in his comfort zone and figures out what you're doing, he can craft really, really perfect strategies to be able to defend that. Polt once again, gasless fast expand, following it up into 2 gas, going for a refractory right afterwards.
You're completely right though, Kev, because if Polt went for a proxy 2-Rex against these builds, he could find incredible success.
Yeah.
HyuN has been playing very greedy in the early game, so I agree with you. I think we should see one in the next few games because He's got to be taking a quick look at these replays, or at least the build orders at the end of the game, and seeing that every single time HyuN is opening with these pretty greedy builds.
Definitely. I couldn't agree with you more, but here it is. We're on Daybreak. We have 2 base layer. The exact same thing happened. He followed this up with 3 gas into Infestor play. While the Infestation Pit was coming up, he expanded to a 3rd. Now, if Polt ends up, and Polt is going
Blue
for
Flame
Blue
Hellion
Flame
again.
Hellion. So we're seeing a repeat of game number 2. We'll see, though, if HyuN can hold this a little bit better.
Well, the thing is, he held it incredibly well, but he
did.
still lost the game. But he only lost 1 queen, and he lost, maybe 8 or 9 Zerglings, and he killed all the Hellions. It was awesome. In this position, HyuN, it's not easy to hold against these builds. So he's going to need to be on his top game to see this build coming, react to it perfectly, and we'll see if he can get an equally skilled cleanup, because I think Polt will be expecting what he saw last time.
I have to agree with you. So a lot of Hellions already being created. Looks like we had a nice swap, and there's enough resources to start researching Blue Flame right away, and that's exactly what happened. So Polt going to make that strong attack here in just a couple of minutes. HyuN going for 2 base Infestation Pit, and hey, the 3rd base right afterwards.
All right, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Burrow and Infestation Pit on the way. This is what we saw. This is game 2 all over again, but with reversed positions.
Yes.
It's basically the thing.
Except the problem was it was broke, so he kind of does need to fix it. So I don't know. Anyway,
Well, a lot of it, I think, was the Roach follow-up. Remember, we were speculating on that a little. He picked off some Thor, so I think he felt comfortable going for the Roaches, but the reality is he didn't kill enough.
I actually think if he goes into something like Ventral Sacs, does damage with the Infestors up at the front or something like that, vaulting over the middle there, and then ends up following it up with a big Roach drop inside of the main, could find success. This is actually a big difference from Polt, though. He's building a 3rd command center. He didn't do this at all in game number 2.
Yeah, it's a huge difference, in fact. We referenced the build as all in, all in, all in many times. But this time around, Quantic, HyuN, he actually placed his Infestation Pit also in the natural expansion, and so a scan just went down for Polt in the main, and he did not manage to see that there was an Infestation Pit, so he's pretty in the dark right now as to what's going on.
Okay, well, the 2.5 base kind of layer tech, though, is probably going to clue him into a little bit as to what's going on. And Polt is following this up with, again, strong mech play. Thor's already being created. He's got enough gas at this point to put down those additional 3 factories, just has to accumulate the minerals first.
Lots of Hellions out on the map right now. This is where Polt's going to make his strike.
I want to say, though, that HyuN, real quick, as these Hellions move in, look at the map control from HyuN right now, and look at the amount of Overlords that he has placed across the map. That's been every game so far. All right, and there it is. The Infestors pop up in perfect time once again. This is deja vu. I don't know what's happening anymore.
Well, Polt going for the same opening build, going for the command center like you said this time around, but same opening, so his attack hit at the same time. HyuN went with the same build, so his Infestor spawned at the same time, and that really is a testament to how refined these players' builds are, that the attacks hit at the same moment.
And the same Overlord is in position and about ready to be killed here, so another base can get put down eventually. But, the question is, how does this get changed? How does this matchup change from here on out? There are 2 very specific ways that this is happening. We do have a 3rd factory on the way from Polt. Remember, he had 5 at this stage of the game back in game number 2 because he didn't go for that next orbital command. That's really delayed a lot of his infrastructure. That buys the time for HyuN to go for a 4th base. And as soon as he hits that, he's going to be on plenty of gas, plenty of workers, normal economy at this stage of the game. So he's not feeling the effects of being, quote-unquote, far behind.
Yeah. That's definitely the case, especially, HyuN's grabbing a 4th base right now. Polt's got his 3rd, he's flying it out, but this missile turret is now going down. Does HyuN see this, actually? Okay, he does.
Yeah.
He's actually got an Overlord in position. Unburrowing his Infestors, he's going to chain fungal these Hellions. Thor and Hellion are going to come out. This is questionable. We'll see if it works out for him. Tough call.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get the rest of the Hellions. They're still going to be used in this engagement. The missile turret actually is going to finish up. No more burrowed units around, but that did not work out nearly as well as HyuN would have liked.
Not at all. Scan going to go down, and he's going to catch these last 2 Infestors. A great play there for Polt. And Kevin, we were wondering how it's going to be different. Well, it's not really, because last time all the Infestors died in HyuN's base. This time, okay, they die in Polt's, but they still die.
Yes, that's true. And they didn't get any,
much.
Yeah, they didn't get any damage done.
Yeah.
All right, so Polt now transferring over a bunch of SEVs. He's going to have already going towards a 4th base. Of course, mech, you really want to do that. Gone are the days of, getting up to about 150 supply with mech, then moving out for a timing attack.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen anymore. You play very greedy with mech. You're taking the entire map, you're building defensive planetary fortresses, you're dumping minerals into missile turrets everywhere to stay super safe, and you really stretch out the game.
Yeah, we still, there's still those push points, but here's the thing. The much later siege tech out of Polt here really indicates that he may go for an earlier push with Thor, HyuN. How many Thor does he? He actually transitioned to siege tank way too fast though for that. So
yeah, he's got 2 more Thor, 3 more Thors actually coming up right now. So he actually canceled that siege tank he was building, went back into another Thor.
So the more Thor we're seeing, the more likely it is he's going for a fast push. The more siege tanks we're seeing, it's likely he's going to sit on his eggs for a while and just let all this economy accrue. But with those Thor on the way, we're going to have to see if he decides to push. Hellions are going to lead the way right now. Kill off. This is Zergling at the Zalnaga Tower. No, it's just going to burrow. We'll see if he pushes behind it.
All right, well, HyuN will see these Hellions, and he pops up and he gets a lot in a fungal growth, and that's going to allow the roaches to close in and clean up the rest. Now that was a very good play from Quantic HyuN.
Yeah, you know, out in the middle of the map more like this, you can depend on the fact that Polt's probably not about to send, 15 Thor into the middle of your army. But back at home, it was a little bit tougher. He went for those fungal growths, and all it required was supply depots being lowered by Polt and an A-click for all those infestors to die.
And this looks more like the Mech TVZ games of old, really.
It really does.
As we're starting to get that large quantity of Thors and Hellions, and we start to see movement towards eventual Broodlord tech. If this game were to stabilize a la Gumiho style, we'd eventually see an air transition with 4 more starports and a bunch of Ravens and a bunch of Banshees. But we'll see what Polt's late game strategy is going to be, because it's going to be very hard for both players to break each other for the next about 5 or 6 minutes.
It's going to be all but impossible for HyuN to break Polt. I was not expecting this, but take a look at the at the third base.
Yeah.
Polt built a planetary fortress here.
Oh, wow.
So he's really locking things down, and this is just really a testament to the fact that Polt thinks he can take this the longer the game goes on.
All right, well, Polt has to react to this very quickly. The Planetary Fortress is doing its job in going ahead and delaying for a long period of time. Enough SCVs have started to get here that they can repair this up slightly, but it looks like everything's just going to go after the Planetary. It ends up falling down with so many infested Terrans. That's insane.
This is a ridiculous quantity of infested Terrans. This command center's done. Even if it lives, the infested Terrans will take it out. There it goes, it falls. And this is kind of the problem that Polt's encountering, because he went for so many Thor and Hellions and then went into the late game, and he doesn't have siege tanks, so he can't really deny things like this from happening. He built the planetary to try to do it, but HyuN just completely ignored it and took it out.
Now, as soon as that attack actually started, he ended up building another command center, so he's going to have it in pretty short order, and that'll certainly help him out. But you're right, he's got to get damage done. Oh man, if he had caught that cache of infestors as he was running across, he would actually been in fine position.
Imagine a Raven just popping out and joining the army right now. Well, Polt's going to go for a counterattack, guys, and if he gets in a lot of damage, well, that's what he needs to do. If he gets in a lot of damage, he's still in this game. If he doesn't, he's way too far behind.
He needs to kill 2 hatcheries minimum right now, though. There's no question in my mind whatsoever. That's a lot of infestors. This is familiar HyuN stuff here as he drops down a lot of infested Terrans once again, and roaches are actually going to walk right on through, so we're kind of in a little bit of a base trade scenario here, but Polt's already lost a base and a half before this happens.
Yeah, this is a really big advantage for HyuN. He's got a huge head start, as Polt has to start at the 4th base, and HyuN is starting in the main and natural expansion. Polt's now going to gun his way into the natural and the main, but he's going to be substantially slowed. Will the chain fungals on the ramp happen to slow this army, or will he go for infested Terrans to try to clean it up? It looks like he's going to back out for now.
Yeah, I mean, he has to. He needs to be able to gather up a ton of high-energy infestors with this neural parasite finishing up to be able to win the eventual engagement.
Yeah. With no siege tanks, actually, neural parasite will just swing this way too much. I mean, look at the infestor count for HyuN. It's 23.
Yeah,
he has enough to neural parasite Polt's entire army twice.
Yes. And that is certainly a concern, but all the tech here is getting killed. There were 10 more infestors that were started right at the last instant.
Finish?
Oh, that is an incredibly good question. Hold on, let me find an infestor here. No, it's got to pop up for me to be able to see it, because there's not an infestation pit that's on the map right now.
Oh, this is really a really tense moment. I'm going to be watching these infestors very closely, because if he didn't complete neural parasite, very different story. But at the same time,
no, he didn't. Oh, hold on here.
All right.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me see.
No, you're right. It's not done.
Wow. Okay, that's huge, because now these infestors are really, really not useless, but their usefulness is incredibly lowered.
All right, infested Terran eggs going down. Fungal growth on the Thor. The thing here for HyuN is to trade energy for units. If he can trade infested Terrans and fungal growths for Thor, then he can win this game in the long run, just by continually letting the energy regenerate and not losing any units. However, Polt at this point, he does he have an orbital? He has 1 orbital, so very limited scans and detection here for Polt.
Very good decision, though. He lands it temporarily so we can get a little bit of scan damage in, essentially.
He might lose it, taking a ton of damage right now. It's going to get extremely low. That command center's going down, and that's it for Polt's detection, guys. He cannot scan any more for those infestors underground.
Okay, so now HyuN does have a pretty substantial lead in terms of the amount of just general army supply, and he has a lot of fungals left. But if he gets caught in a bad engagement or a little bit of splash damage comes down from these Hellions, it could actually be a decent position for Polt, but he needs the perfect engagement.
He really does. Polt's in an extremely difficult spot here. Although he has a lot of Thorn, a very nice army, these infestors are just going to be able to fungal and infest Terran all day long, make it all but impossible. He's moving forward right now. Nice fungal on these Thor, and he's going to try to chain them, sending forward a single infestor at a time. Very nice control here out of HyuN.
Wow, this is excruciating to watch, actually. I mean, this is like Spoon Zerg here, just one infestor at a time running forward, taking out these Thors one by one. Finally, a couple of infestors do go down. It looks like HyuN may want to try and engage this momentarily.
Well, Polt's going to fall back. He's still got a lot of money, so he can actually repair these Thors, so that wasn't much of a victory for HyuN.
He does actually have an orbital command over in the top left-hand corner.
Yeah,
and
he made that into one. He still has barracks.
And, oh yeah, it's floating around. There it is. All right, so Polt, not a lot of options at this stage of the game, but he can start clearing up a little bit of creep at the very least.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he opts to use his energy for that. It is really, really important to be able to deny vision so that your opponent cannot see where your units are traveling. But the main is still intact for HyuN, so he has a lair tech. And we could see him tech towards something like Broodlords here in the future, but there's actually Neural Parasite is about to complete.
Yeah, and his infestation, I was about to say his infestation pit's already done, so he's re-researching that. He is going to lose his main here for a second. Surprised that wasn't taken up by just, a couple of Hellions just sent in to try and do a little bit of damage to the drone line, but it is going to be cleared up now.
Oh, the barracks is going to fall here, actually, for Polt. He was using it for vision over HyuN's army, but it is going to go down. Thor managed to take out the hive, but Polt now maybe find himself trapped, actually, in the main base.
Yeah, it looks like Polt picks up on the fact that there's still a Roach running around inside of his main. I believe that Roach, and those 11 kills are basically all supply depots at this stage of the game. So he's actually done quite a bit of damage, or at least more than you would expect.
Yeah, HyuN, I think, has managed to successfully deny this base as well. Really surprised that HyuN's not trapping Polt's army in, because he could make a huge concave with those Roaches and just make it that it's not possible to actually push down. We've got siege tech being researched, though. Polt wants to make some siege tanks.
Ooh, he really wanted to finish that up, and it looks like HyuN's actually going to give him the ability to finish that up. So there you go.
All right, so Polt is, he may be caught a little out of position. No, he's going to manage to retain that siege tank for now. Siege tech is complete, and he can siege that tank.
Oh my god, there are so many infestors there. That's insane. 36 infestors running through the middle of the map right now.
Still making more.
This is Wings of Liberty. All right.
At its finest, guys.
Hey, that one tank has siege mode now, and that's going to be our hero. I'm calling it right now. No, actually, a ton of energy left on these infestors. Then they can sit back, play a little bit passively, and just trap this force. And it looks like HyuN's going to start going for it, making his way up slowly but surely. There, the Neural Parasite's starting to hit the front line of Thors, and it looks like that may be all she wrote for Polt as his entire army is taken over.
Assimilation successful on the entire army of Polt right now. Every single Thor. There it is, GG.
GG, and HyuN has broken the tie. He's up 4-3. This is a best of 11, ladies and gentlemen. So he still has 2 wins left to get, but he's starting to inch closer and closer to that goal.
He is. We could have a potential of just 2 games left at this point. But Polt's been putting up one good fight, so I don't think we're going to have just 2 games left.
All right, so that game started eerily similar to game number 2, finished in quite a different way. Yep. A little bit of a base trade there, but we are going to run to a commercial break, and when we get back, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be time for game number 8. We'll see if Polt ties it up here at our South by Southwest Gaming IPL Fight Club Heavyweight Championship.